What's going on, my fellow Kino Lords? So today I'm going to be reviewing Terrifier 3, which is obviously the second sequel in the Terrifier series, which is written and directed by Damien Leone. So right now I'm currently on lunch break from jury duty. I've been dismissed for lunch break. I've been in jury duty all week, which has been absolutely exhausting. But today's the final day, thank God. Unless something goes awry, today should be the final day. But I live like 5 minutes away from the courthouse, which is also really convenient because I can just drive to and there. I can just drive there and back without much issue at all. But I decided I'm going to use this time to talk about Terrifier 3 because I watched it last night, and I didn't review it last night because I got out of the movies like near like midnight and I was too exhausted. But I've been thinking about this movie ever since I've seen it, and I had to talk about it. So let's just get it done. Yeah, so Terrifier 3 is a movie that I was highly anticipating. I believe I put it in my top 10 most anticipated films of the year video because I really loved Terrifier 2, and that was a shock to me. I mean, I thought I was gonna like it, but I didn't think I was gonna love it as much as I did, and that's mostly because, like, you know, gory, fun slasher flicks aren't usually my cup of tea, but Terrifier 2 just kind of blew me away. Not only just because I thought the villain was just really entertaining, like Art the Clown. I thought he was a really well acted and well conceptualized villain. But the gore was freaking crazy, and I actually found the story and the character writing to be actually, for the standard of slasher flicks, like pretty compelling. But you know, that being said, you know, I kind of had high expectations for Terrifier 3. I mean, Terrifier 2 was like this huge thing that like no one expected. I mean, not even the filmmaker himself really expected to blow up as much as it did. I mean, the movie was made on an extremely low budget and was able to just like make like 100 times its money back. And that's how we got Terrifier 3. And I think it's great for the filmmaker to be able to do something like that. So now we have Terrifier 3, but it's Christmas themed, which is even more fucking cooler. You know, sometimes Christmas horror films are awesome. The original Black Christmas, an incredible horror film, and also like a pioneer in the slasher genre. But anyway, let's just talk about Terrifier 3. How do we feel about Terrifier 3? So, I wish I could tell you that you'll be prepared for Terrifier 3. Because this movie delivers in like much more than you would expect. Obviously, it's a super violent movie, incredibly grotesque, gory like no other, but it somehow goes even further than Terrifier 2, right? I think like a big compliment that Terrifier 2 got was just, again, how far it went with the violence and with the kills. But Terrifier 3, in my opinion, somehow goes even further and ups the ante and really like pushes boundaries and limits with it. It is just absolutely vile, like unforgivingly vile. There are so many moments that I feel like are straight from hell itself. I mean, there's some parts of this movie where I was just like holding my head down like this and just thinking, this is on screen in an AMC theaters right now. This doesn't seem like a movie that should be screened at my local AMC, but here we are. Yeah, just vicious, man. Vicious, like Art the Clown, and his, and Vicky, his, what do you call it? Like his vessel, both in this movie and with a fucking vengeance. Like, my God. The opening to this movie, the opening scene to this movie sets the tone immediately. I'm just going to go and outright say, if you're someone, I mean, it goes without saying that if you're squeamish and you can't handle a lot of gore, then it's not for you. That's obvious. But on top of that, if you're someone who doesn't like seeing children get killed, even just through like implication, then don't even bother with this movie. It goes far. It really does. And the opening scene, I feel like sets that tone immediately. Just outright sets a tone. Like if you're not gonna, you know, it pretty much in the first opening scene, it lets you know like this is the kind of movie it's gonna be, and if this ain't for you, you might as well just get the fuck out. And we actually had, I actually had some walkouts in the theater. There was at least 2 or 3 people that straight up walked out of the theater, and depending on which scene it was, there's this one scene, this one bathroom scene, like in the third, like nearing the third act of the movie, basically, that was ungodly. That shit was unholy. It was relentless. Where Art the Clown uses a chainsaw for his kills, and that was relentless. That was sheer insanity. I couldn't even believe my eyes when I was watching. And I saw like a few people walk out during that scene. I guess they just had enough. And honestly, like, I can kind of get it. Like, even for me, I was like, I'm taking so much in right now. Like, I just felt like I'm taking, maybe it's just because I don't watch, like, I mean, I've seen a lot of really fucking gory movies. Like, I'm no slouch when it comes to me exposing myself to like really violent movies, but I don't watch them like constantly all the time. And even those movies, like, you know, have some mercy on the audience. This one has no fucking mercy at all. But yeah, so in terms of like kills and brutality, it's gnarlier than the sequel, in my opinion, Terrifier 2. It goes further than Terrifier 2, in my opinion. And in that way, I do think it's better. But what I will say about Terrifier 3 is that I feel like the story and the flow of the narrative isn't as natural or as compelling as Terrifier 2. I feel like the second one has better character writing and a more compelling finale than Terrifier 3. Because Terrifier 3, I feel like when it comes to the finale and the third act, I feel like it just like it kind of abruptly transitions itself into the finale. To where I didn't even know if it was really the finale or not. I was like, is this really going to be the end of the movie? Like, once the movie ended, honestly, I thought we were going to get like another 20 minutes. But it turns out it was really just a setup for, it was just another setup for I guess for a 4th sequel. But I mean, like, it doesn't feel like it flows, and it doesn't feel like it leads to the finale in a way that's built up comfortably. It just kind of like starts to happen, and then that's it. I mean, the finale itself is good, in my opinion. Like, I really enjoyed it. But I just wish there was a better, like, build up to it. It didn't feel like it flowed into that very, very naturally. Also, there's, like, 90% of the kills in this movie are merely characters that we don't give any shit about. And again, that's not new to the slasher genre. That's kind of how it goes. But there is a few characters in particular in this movie that, you know, are built up and, you know, are established. Even one character from the previous film that I won't spoil, that's a pretty important character, and it doesn't show them get killed. It just kind of like, oh yeah, they died, and, you know, here's their body, but that's it. We don't see them get killed, and it's kind of an odd choice. You know, again, considering we see such graphic detail of kind of basically, you know, useless characters get killed. It'd be nice to see like more, again, like significant built up characters also get the on-screen kills. It would feel more impactful. And it's weird, it kind of like skips over them a little bit for I don't know what reason. I'm not sure. It makes the film feel like was that intended, or was this film not even really ready to be released? And yeah, there was there's also this bombing. I'll just say there's a scene involving a bomb, and the way that it was edited together, like, it felt weird that there's a bunch of characters in the scene right there near the bomb, and then when it explodes, there's nobody there. You know, it felt like again, it didn't feel like it was ready to be released in a way. It felt kind of choppy in that regard. But yeah, I mean, in terms, like, one thing that people kind of, you know, complain about when it comes to the, well, at least when it comes to Terrifier 2, and I don't know about Terrifier 3 yet, But they really complained about the runtime in Terrifier 2, right? They're like, why does this movie need to be like 2 hours and like 15, 20 minutes? Personally, it didn't bother me in Terrifier 2. This movie is also 2 hours long, and I was wondering if it was going to bother me at all here. And personally, no. Like, this movie flew by for me. Like, I was locked in and hooked from the very beginning up until the very end. I actually, again, I kind of thought like it kind of could have used more time. That might be like a hot take, but I kind of thought like instead of setting up for a sequel, you could have just finished it off here. Like, you could have just like added more to the story with a more, that way we could have more compelling character arcs and character setups and stuff like that. But it kind of just does its thing for the setup there at the end, and then it ends. That's all. That, you know, in one way, I thought that was a little, I thought that was a little underwhelming. But the runtime itself, like, I didn't feel like this was a bore at all. Like, it flew by. I didn't feel like it was dragging in any way. And I can't express to you enough how just gnarly and vile this movie is. Like, it just keeps going further and further and further. And again, I'm telling you, you have to do your best to try and prepare yourself for what you're going to watch. And again, I think just watching Terrifier 2 is the best way to prepare yourself. But even then, it's gonna catch you off guard, and you're gonna be like, oh, holy shit. Apparently this movie was banned in France. I don't know if that's just a rumor or not, but that should tell you a little something, which is kind of weird. You know, out of all places, France is gonna ban this movie, considering, like, you know, films like Irreversible came out of there. It's like you're gonna ban Terrifier 3, really? Maybe it has to do with the harm against children thing. I'm not sure, but yeah. Anyway, yeah, I mean, I think it's about all I gotta say about Terrifier 3. I mean, look, Art the Clown is great in this movie. Oh, one thing oh my god. Okay. There's a scene with a character that plays Santa Claus in this movie. And his kill in this movie, so satisfying. That was such a creative way to go about murdering Santa Claus. Like, it was a really just like super darkly humorous way to go about it. And I think that's kind of why I like Art the Clown so much, because he has just like this dark, like incredibly dark, ironic sense of humor to him. Even though he's obviously like just a disgusting villain, there's still like this playfulness to him that is entertaining to the audience members. So anyway, I think that's just the last thing I had to say. I got to wrap this up before I have to start booking it back to jury duty. But yeah, that's all I got about that's about all I got to say about it, guys. For a rating, I think right now I'll give it a strong 8 out of 10 for now. I really loved it, but I don't think I can give it a 9, just because there were some, obviously the things I said about it did kind of underwhelm me. And I think right now I'm leaning a bit towards more Terrifier 2 being better, like as a whole, as a movie. But this movie still did not disappoint. It did not disappoint. It delivers. And I think Terrifier fans are going to be more than satisfied with this for sure. So that's it, guys. Thank you so much for watching this review. If you really enjoy what I had to say about the film, just give it a thumbs up and share it amongst your friends. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel to be updated on more film-related content.